That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so we're going to go through and talk about some more spreads for some more NFL games now. I got some good news and I got some bad news. If you listened to us last week, you probably did very well. We went 8-5 with the picks that we decided to go with. But the bad news is, knowing that we are not going to be profitable over a long sample, or at least I'm not assuming we're going to be profitable over a long sample, it probably means we got some losing bets coming soon. So make sure you stay around for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button as well. That way you can see us lose money throughout the entire NFL season. But it's going to be very fun. I mean, there's not that many things that are more fun than talking about NFL spreads. So, of course, we're going to dive into it. Just make sure you drop that like. Make sure you leave a comment letting me know your favorite line of the week. I don't need to hear every opinion on every game that you have. But if there's one game that you really go, okay, Mason, this is something we got to be attacking. We got to go hard on the under with the Washington football team, whatever it may be, let me know. And yeah, let's dive into this week and let's start it off with the Thursday night game. That way y'all can make fun of me if we get this wrong and y'all are watching on a Friday or a Saturday. But let's go with the Carolina Panthers versus the Houston Texans. And here, the spread on this game is actually going to be 8 points where, I mean, you're going to have Davis Mills as the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. And I don't know how many of y'all actually went through and really dove deep in the NFL draft this past year. But I'm going to let you in on some expert level analysis right here. Davis Mills is bad. Davis Mills is horrendous. I would say he is probably the worst quarterback that's going to see a start this NFL season. Now, I know Houston's actually looked pretty decent through the first 2 weeks, at least compared to what I expected them to. I mean, we actually lost the game against Cleveland where we thought that 12 points was a good number and we were going to take the Browns minus 12. And I mean, that wouldn't have even came close if Tyrod Taylor stayed healthy all game. I mean, we had a shot considering that Davis Mills came in. Davis Mills stunk up the second half, and that game ended up going to 11. Still lost the bet, but anyway here, I think that 8 points against the Carolina Panthers is very intriguing. And what I'm going to be doing for this video is I want to cover all these games. And while we went 8-5 this past week and we had 13 official bets out there, I want to trim that number down. Instead, I just want to be going 5 bets a week. So Carolina and Houston, not going to be one of those for me. We know that Thursday is usually a little harder to predict, knowing that there's more volatility with this not being a regular week of preparation leading up from each game. So if I had to pick a side, I probably want to go Carolina minus 8, but this is definitely not going to be one of those bets we make because 8's a large number, and the Carolina defense has looked great so far. I mean, they just shut down Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints, but I mean, they played Jameis Winston, and they also went up against the New York Jets in week 1. I don't think we can be just going all in just yet with Sam Darnold in this offense. Now, our next team is going to be the Washington football team going and playing against the Buffalo Bills, where the Bills are 7.5 point favorites. And one storyline with this Washington football team that I want to discuss is the fact that you actually have it where Washington, I will say, was very disappointing with their defensive line performance against the New York Giants. We know the Giants are supposed to have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, yet they really very rarely were able to pressure Daniel Jones. Maybe that's given the fact that Daniel Jones does have that rushing capability. So, I mean, if they can get to him, he can actually scramble and he can get away from that type of scenario. Maybe we see something very similar here with Josh Allen. Now, one of the bets we smashed this past week is it was hilarious that I believe they only had the Buffalo Bills as like 3.5 point favorites against the Miami Dolphins. And of course, we smashed that Bills line. 7.5 here is definitely closer. But honestly, with 7.5, I think we're probably going to end up going with the Buffalo Bills over the Washington football team. I still want to say that Taylor Heinicke is a very bad quarterback. The Bills just shut down the Miami Dolphins, yes, with the Tua Tagovailoa injury, but still, we want to be going with the Buffalo Bills. Now, our next game is going to be the Chicago Bears and the Cleveland Browns, where the Browns will be 7 point favorites. But, I mean, the Browns are pretty thin right now at wide receiver. You have Jarvis Landry going in the short-term IR. You have yet to hear official news on what's going to be happening with Odell Beckham Jr. So this will be a game that I think you can confidently say that the Cleveland Browns should be winning, regardless of if that's with him just running the ball 30 times this game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and really just lowering the pace of play and knowing that they can play solid defense against Justin Fields in this Chicago Bears offense. Now, I think this will be a stay away game for us, however, just because with the uncertainty around the wide receiver position for the Cleveland Browns, I mean, Anthony Schwartz is also banged up at the same time. I think maybe this is a spot where the game's just lower scoring than you initially think, just because they are going to lean on the run with both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And also the Chicago Bears, their run defense actually looked decent this past week against Joe Mixon and the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think that this is probably going to be a stowaway. Now our next game, the Baltimore Ravens playing the Detroit Lions, where the Lions are getting 9 points here. So I will say the Ravens are a team that I think that you definitely want to come out and say they are significantly better in every way imaginable compared to the Detroit Lions. Of course, that's going to be the case, but 9 points is a considerable amount. I mean, you're looking at it saying, well, the Detroit Lions, while yes, they have been more so trying to lean on the run and funnel everything through TJ Hawkinson, it's going to be a much more difficult place for them to do that against the Baltimore Ravens, who have a great run defense. Now, I will say with both of these teams, I have been betting against the Lions, and it's been working out, and we've been betting with the Ravens, and that's been working out as well. I don't really care. I think at this point, 9 points is simply too much to be looking at. I think we're actually just going to be going with the Detroit Lions plus 9 compared to the Baltimore Ravens. That's a decent amount of points. And also, I think you could be playing in a world where maybe Detroit just comes out and takes another step up when they do have that new head coach and just Jared Goff getting 1 week further into this system. Okay, so now our next bet here is going to be with the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans, where the Titans are actually 5.5 point favorites. Now, I will say it's kind of unfair for me to be able to just go through and say, oh, well, if you have Carson Wentz playing this game, we're going with the Colts plus 5.5. If you have Jacob Eason starting, then we're going to go with the Tennessee Titans. So at the time of this recording, which is on the 22nd, this is not official quite yet. So I think this is going to be a game where I literally can't give you all an answer just because, I mean, it would be so cheap for me to just give you the caveat there and act like we're winning no matter what, when in reality, that's going to be a bet that's a lot harder to actually get down on the books. Now, our next game going to be the Los Angeles Chargers playing the Kansas City Chiefs, where the spread on this game is actually 6.5 points. So they essentially are saying, does Kansas City win by a touchdown or more? And to be honest, this is a game that definitely is close. I think based on the Justin Herbert bounce back that we should be expecting and knowing that this game can turn into a shootout, and the Chiefs, their defense hasn't looked great so far. I'm actually going to be taking the Chargers in 6.5 points. Seems like a lot for a division game. Now, I know Kansas City, a lot of people are going to have the narrative that this should be a bounce back spot after disappointing on prime time against the Baltimore Ravens. And here, I mean, with the Chiefs, they're still definitely the best team in the NFL, but 6.5 points in a division game where the Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert, I mean, they have looked great against the Chiefs before, and I think this could be a spot where you just really see this Chiefs defense continue to struggle as they've done through the first 2 weeks. Now, our next game will be the New Orleans Saints versus the New England Patriots, where the spread on this game is 2.5 points. So obviously, I mean, you really want to be going with the New England Patriots after you see a 4-interception performance by Zach Wilson against this defense. And we know that Jameis Winston, he's had the history of going through and making similar decisions like that, where he just really puts his offenses in difficult positions. That's what we saw this past week against Carolina. I think that just having Sean Payton with Jameis Winston, though, there's such a wide range of outcomes on this game that I think going through and saying with confidence that we're going to take the Saints plus 2.5, I don't necessarily think we should be doing that. I think this is just going to be a stay away game for us. Now, the Atlanta Falcons versus the New York Giants. The Giants are 3-point favorites against the Falcons, where the Falcons just disappointed us going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We actually took the Falcons plus 12.5 this past week, which was definitely one of our worst calls of the week. And the Giants looked pretty decent against the Washington football team, where their offensive line was able to keep it together. And I think coming off of 10 days of rest, you should be able to have this New York Giants offense, hopefully getting Evan Ingram back, hopefully getting Saquon Barkley fully healthy, hopefully also just getting a little more chemistry built in with Daniel Jones and Kenny Golladay. So I think we're actually going to end up taking the New York Giants a -3 here. So let's go the Giants -3. Now, our next game going to be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers, where the line on this one somehow is only 3 points. Now, this is I don't want to say the lock of the week, but this is a game that I definitely think that you should be going for with aggression. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers with that elite level defense and also just with a running game that I think they'll definitely be able to get going against a bad Cincinnati Bengals defense. This is going to be the game that I think we really want to be targeting. Let's go with the Steelers -3. Now, the Arizona Cardinals are going to be playing the Jacksonville Jaguars here where, I mean, the spread on this game is supposed to be 7. And I think that, honestly, 7 is about the fair number for this. Now, of course, Kyler Murray is on fire as of now, but you also have the Arizona Cardinals defense giving up a decent amount of points to what you had with Minnesota this past week. I think there's still a wide range of outcomes on what we should be expecting from the Jacksonville Jaguars with the new coaching staff as well as having Trevor Lawrence there. So on paper, I mean, 7 points seems like not enough for the Arizona Cardinals, but in reality, I think that will be a stay away game for us. Now, my God, this is the lock of the week. This is one of the bets you have to be making. The New York Jets playing the Denver Broncos. The Jets going out there and getting 10.5 points as if the Denver Broncos are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know Denver's looked good through the first 2 weeks, but Denver has also played the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Giants. I mean, I'm taking the Jets here. While, yes, Zach Wilson looked very bad a week ago, at the same time, you went up against Bill Belichick in that offense. Please let me know what you're thinking. I think 10.5 points for the New York Jets is way too much. I mean, we're going the Jets plus 10.5. This game is probably not even going to be that high scoring anyway, so 10.5 points is going to make up a significant portion of that. Now, our next game is going to be the Miami Dolphins versus the Las Vegas Raiders, where the Raiders will be 4-point favorites. Now, this is also going to be a stay away game for us just because with Tua Tagovailoa, I don't necessarily want to go out there and put that caveat on it. So I think for now, it's very hard for me to say exactly what we should expect from this game as of September 22nd. So we're just going to stay away from Las Vegas and Miami. Now, our next game, the Los Angeles Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I will say, I really thought that I was going to be coming out and telling y'all to go with the Los Angeles Rams without even thinking about it. I thought the Rams would be a no-brainer pick. I figured that it was going to be, just say, Tampa Bay -3.5. I thought that was going to be a little closer to the spread. Well, no, I guess we weren't necessarily expecting a lot of people to be on the Rams here, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are only favored by 1.5. I think this is an incredibly fair line. I think the Rams have proven to be a fantastic football team so far. So, yeah, we are going to be going with just marking this game down as a clear stay away. Now, the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers. You actually have somehow the 49ers as 3.5-point favorites here. This is where you want to be going, the Green Bay Packers. We took the Packers last week against the Detroit Lions with a significant amount of points on the other side. I think getting 3.5 points for Aaron Rodgers is kind of ridiculous. Also, I mean, with San Francisco, they're just dealing with a multitude of injuries, especially at the running back position right now. Maybe they have to lean on Jimmy Garoppolo slightly more, and I don't think leaning on Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be that great of an option. And also going back to week 1 with the Green Bay Packers, I say we just completely forget about it against the New Orleans Saints. I'll say that that was just such an outlier game. I want to be just removing that from our memory, going back to what we've had over the past 2 years for the Green Bay Packers, which with Matt LaFleur. So let's go with the Packers plus 3.5. Now, our last game is going to be the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, where the Cowboys are favored by 3.5 points here. I think this will be a stay away game for us. I don't necessarily think that there's one very sharp side to be having. Maybe if we were going to go with the side, we would take the Philadelphia Eagles plus 3.5 points. But, I mean, out of our picks, I think that there are much better options. And let's go back and let's recap the options that we're going to have officially on the books. That way, Thomas can just go through and keep track of everything. So we're going to be taking the Packers plus 3.5 against the 49ers. We are going to be taking the New York Jets plus 10.5 against the Denver Broncos. We are going to be taking the Pittsburgh Steelers a -3 against the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to be taking the New York Giants. Actually, with the New York Giants, the Atlanta Falcons, we have enough bets. Let's throw out that Giants bet. We don't need to put that Giants bet on the official books here. Let's throw that one out. I think it's close enough where it doesn't necessarily make sense for us to do that. Let's go with the Los Angeles Chargers as well, plus 6.5. And then from here, we're going to be going the Lions plus 9. And then also we are going to be going with the Buffalo Bills minus 7.5. So I think that was 5 or 6 bets that we were going to have on the official books. Hopefully we can keep this winning streak alive. But honestly, it just probably going to crash down sometime soon. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Please go down to the comment section. Let me know your favorite bet of the week. And I hope I see y'all with the video we're doing later this week talking about our $1,000 bankroll challenge, which of course is going to be very fun. So just make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you drop that like, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Have a great day.